Helen Jones and welcome to Showcase, where we bring you all the biggest and best news in art, culture, style and entertainment from here in London to Istanbul and across the world. Coming up on this week's show, we meet baking royalty Nadiya Hussain, 10 years on from winning the Great British Bake Off, and many a top-selling cookbook later, she's now released Rooza, a joyous celebration of Ramadan and Eid. And sticking with food for Hot Ticket this week, we visit Telazuz, the first vegan restaurant in Türkiye to be awarded a coveted Michelin Green Star. Esther chats to its head chef about their commitment to sustainable gastronomy. We take an in-focus look at one of the pioneers of the pop art movement, Andy Warhol, with his colourful exhibition in Istanbul. Plus, of course, all our top stories from the world of entertainment news in this week's Snapshot Roundup. But first, back in 2015, Nadiya Hussain was crowned winner of the Great British Bake Off. Since then, she's gone on to become one of the UK's most respected chefs, a popular TV personality and a hugely successful author, releasing a swathe of best-selling cookbooks, not to mention baking a cake for the late Queen. Well, her latest book, Rooza, is a celebration of the culinary magic of Ramadan and Eid, featuring mouth-watering meals from over 30 Muslim countries. And we couldn't wait to meet her and hopefully sample something delicious. Nadiya, it's so wonderful to meet you. Congratulations on your glorious new cookbook, Rooza. Let's start with the name. What does it mean?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really, really proud of this book. I'm really excited as well. So Rooza means, so I'm from Bangladesh and I speak Sylheti, and Rooza means fasting. It means Ramadan, so that's the month where we fast for 30 days. And it's just, I think there are so many people who will recognize that name, they'll recognize the word, and they'll know straight away and they'll connect to it, and others won't, but they know that it means Ramadan.
You say that it was the book that you never thought you'd actually write.
Yeah.
How did you finally decide that it was time to write it?
Every time a Ramadan I'd be within Ramadan and it'd pass, I'd say, I'd love to write a book about Ramadan. Like, I'd say it to myself. Over the last 10 years, I've been saying, I'd love to write a book about Ramadan. And it has been such a labor of love for me. And it's something that, like, I could have done 5 years ago, I suppose. But, like, now, it's here now, and it's kind of, it feels like the right time.
So where did you get your inspiration from? How did you bring this together? Inspiration
kind of came from lots of different places. So for me, as a Bangladeshi woman, it was important to put a chapter with Bangladeshi recipes in. So there's kind of my own culture, but there's also recipes from Pakistan, which are, I grew up around mostly Bangladeshi and Pakistani people. So it felt really important to kind of add recipes from Pakistan. But then also it kind of was some of the recipes were inspired by my travels. So I traveled to Nepal and Cambodia, so it was important to kind of add some of those recipes in there. So it took a lot of research and a lot of time, but there are 30 meals from 30 different countries that will hopefully inspire lots of people to kind of try something new. I think it's really important to kind of really celebrate other cultures and other cuisines and people. We live in a multicultural society where there are so many different people from different parts of the world around us, and I think to be able to celebrate that is huge. So yeah, I think it's come with so much excitement and there's so much enthusiasm for it, so I'm really excited.
Tell us about the recipes from Turkey that are in this book.
So I did, I kind of dedicated this to our friend Emir, who's Turkish, and he is ever since, like, he's been our friend, like, I've always kind of loved experimenting with Turkish food and then handing it to him. He was like, oh, so that's quite, I really enjoy that. And so the very first recipe is from Turkey, and I did a chicken shish tuk and then baklava for dessert.
Of course.
Of course.
The Great British Bake Off. What did that mean to you? How did that change you as a person and what happened next?
Doing the Bake Off was something that I never imagined I would do. I never expected that I would do it. It's something that my husband kind of encouraged me to do because I suffer quite a lot with anxiety. And so he kind of asked me, he said, look, just do it, just for you, just for your own sake. Just do something that doesn't involve me or the kids. And so I did it. And I didn't expect to get into the final 12. And when I did, I kind of didn't expect to get as far as I did. And I certainly didn't expect to win. And when I did, that was a huge shock to me. And what I definitely didn't expect was to forge a career out of it. And like 10 years later, I'm still here. So it's safe to say that going on the Bake Off definitely changed the trajectory of my life.
You mentioned your anxiety there. Did it actually help, this sudden rise to fame? Because it was overnight for you, and with someone that does have anxiety, how do you cope with that?
I think it just, there's moments where it can be really bad, and sometimes it's great. But I think it's just about managing it and knowing what your triggers are. And so I think through time I've kind of managed it, kind of worked out what my triggers are, and just being better at just knowing when I need to step back.
Part of this rise to fame resulted in you baking a birthday cake for the late Queen Elizabeth II. What did you bake, and what did she say about it?
Yeah, so I baked her an orange drizzle cake with marmalade. Just couldn't get more British than that, can you? So I did an orange drizzle 3-tier cake, and it was really weird because I didn't realise that the Queen was going to come and cut the cake herself, and so she did. She came and she cut it. And it was a really weird moment because Prince Philip then kind of walked across, and I didn't know he was going to be there. And she said to him, "This is the young lady that won the baking show." And I was like, "Well, I think I might have made it." But,
that's amazing. Have there been any other standout pinch me moments?
Receiving an MBE,
of course,
which I was in the bath at the time. And my husband knocked on the door and he said, "There's a really official looking letter for you at the door." And he goes, "It's really good paper." And I was like, okay. I didn't think anything of it. Yeah. And he said, "Can I unlock the bathroom door?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead." Unlocked it, comes in. There I was. I was fully naked while...
in all your glory.
In all my glory, while I found out that I'd received an MBE.
That's amazing. And what do you do when you're not cooking?
Me time is usually going out for a walk or going for archery. So I do archery. I love archery. So. And
you're very good, aren't you? Are you going to start competing?
Well, my trainer said that when we first started, he said, "I think you should compete." And I was like, "No, I'm not that good." And he said, "No, I really do think you should compete."
Maybe you should then.
Maybe I might.
So how did you get into archery then?
It was just something that we try to do every year. We try and do a little something with the kids. So we're learning something new together. And so we picked up archery and said, let's do it. Because we live quite close to the woods. And so let's pick up archery, let's do it. And all the kids can now do it. And we've all got licenses. But my husband and I were the only two that actually carried it on. So we just pack the car. We get down to the woods, and then we just go and throw some arrows, and it's like the most empowering thing to do. But it is really mindful, and you have to really focus. So for me, something like that is really great for when I'm anxious.
And you're very good.
I am, currently.
Olympics calling. Nadiya, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. All the best with your book. It's absolutely glorious. It's wonderful. And I've been desperate to try one of these throughout the interview. Is this from your book?
Yes. So these are kletcha, and so it's like a short crust pastry, and they're filled with dates and walnuts. And they're from Iraq.
Delicious. So, May I?
Go for it.
Thank you. Delicious. Thanks again to the wonderful Nadiya Hussain there. And if that didn't whet your appetite, well, how about this as we head over to Esra now for a rather tasty edition of this week's Hot Ticket.
I'm about to head into Telezzüz, Turkey's first vegan fine dining restaurant, where the approach is described as simple, natural, and mindful. I'm here to find out what this all means, meet the chef, and hopefully taste some delicious plant-based meals. Bahtiyar Büyükduman, welcome to Showcase. What inspired you to become a vegan chef, blending vegan cuisine with fine dining?
First of all, my biggest inspiration was nature, because in my nature, I was an archaeologist before becoming a chef, and I spent a lot of time in the nature during my college years. Also, I am a vegetarian for 10 years, and it was my dream to be the first vegan fine dining chef of Türkiye. I started to work on it. All of a sudden, this job offer came to me and I accepted. So I said, okay, I'll try, I'll give my best, and voila.
And actually, like you did your best because you opened Telezuz like last year in April, right?
Yes.
And in such a short time, you received such notable sustainability awards, including a Michelin Green Star. And what does this recognition mean to you and your team?
We always aim this kind of big awards. We were like, we can get something, but in near future, not that quick. We are so motivated. We are looking forward to show people a vegan restaurant can be successful in many ways. It's not just about the awards, it's also about the taste, the quality, the presentation, because this kind of awards and this kind of paths help Türkiye to be more famous about our vegetables and our cuisine, because we are not only a kebab or lahmacun country. We have a lot of different dishes that we need to show the world we have the best.
Sustainability is a must for these kind of awards. So can you share your practices and principles?
We are only working with the local products at the right time, which is right season. We are not using tomato during the winter. We are collecting our disposal. We have a composting machine and we have a huge garden in this facility. We are using them as fertilizers. Also, we are focusing on zero waste recipes, which means we are not throwing away the skins or peels of the vegetables.
I'm neither vegan nor vegetarian, and I'm wondering about your guests actually. Like, how many of them do you think or do you know follow a plant-based diet?
I'm trying to touch every customer and asking that question first. Are you vegan or vegetarian or not? As far as I learned, 70% of our customers are non-vegan or non-vegetarian, which is a huge number, but also for me it's a really good percentage, because one of our missions, like, try to show people plant-based diet is not just about the greens and salads.
So speaking of guests, just recently I think some kind of special guests you had, right? Like
Yes.
Elton John. And how was it?
It was an unexpected visit. Just one day before we even noticed that he is going to visit us. I'm a huge fan. I really like, by the way.
You got the food, yay!
It's a zero waste plate. We are making some cubes out of kohlrabi and green apple. For example, this is not a traditional Turkish dish, but we are just using Turkish ingredients and combining different techniques. But the upcoming dish will be a completely traditional Turkish dish that we make with just local products.
It is delicious. It's really yummy.
Elton John was like a really dream for us. With the first dish, I went to table and I was like shaking, and it's not a normal day routine. You don't see Elton John so often. And it's once.
Did you have a chat or something?
Yes, we had actually. He gave really good feedbacks about the food, and one of the funniest thing he said, I'm not gonna eat any dessert. I'm not gonna have any. And we said, okay, it's sugar-free, gluten-free. He said, I'm going to try just a little bit. And then he said, can I get one more?
Can you recommend any other vegan fine dining restaurants around the world?
Yes. I would like to start with 11 Madison Park in New York, which has 3 Michelin stars. The other one can be like my recent favorite, Holy Carrot in London. I love the food. The atmosphere is really cool. In Copenhagen, we have Arc, pure fine dining, and just local and seasonal ingredients. I really love that place too. And in Berlin, Cookie Screen it's a must-see place.
Well, thanks so much for the recommendations, and thank you again for joining us here on Showcase today.
You're welcome. Thank you for visiting us. I hope you like the food.
I love the food. Thank you. I'll keep eating it.
Thank you, Esra. And in honour of Telezeus, we thought we'd play a tasty little game for this week's Top 5 Rundown. We want you to guess which countries have the most 3-star Michelin restaurants, which, according to the guide, means exceptional cuisine worth a special journey. So, where is delicious enough to visit? At number 5, this country has 10 restaurants with 3 Michelin stars. The birthplace for Beethoven, Bach and Brahms, it has a famous festival named after the month in which it's held, and it's known for its sausages and pretzels. With award-winning 3-star eateries Aqua, Essence and Roots, to name but a few, this country's definitely not the worst place for food. Have you guessed it yet? It is, of course, Germany. It's a tie for the 4th spot, with both countries boasting 14 triple-star Michelin restaurants, with Piazza Duomo, Per Se, the French Laundry and La Pergola among them. One's known for pizza, pasta and a certain leaning tower, and the other for hot dogs, apple pies and a famous green-hued statue. Yes, easy clues there. It is Italy and the United States. At number 3, this country's spoilt for choice with an incredible 16 3-Michelin-star restaurants to ponder. The birthplace of Pablo Picasso, plenty to love about it, including olive trees, stunning beaches, flamenco, paella and tapas, and that's all before even sampling the Michelin food on offer in places such as Azurmendi, Noor and El Seyer de Can Roca. Got it? Of course you have. Well done, or should I say bien hecho. 3rd place goes to Spain. In 2nd spot, it's the country with a whopping 20 triple Michelin-star places to eat. So why wouldn't you take the high-speed bullet train there to eateries such as Kanda, Cezanne and Rujin? Yes, it's the home of sushi and sumo. At number 2, Japan. But taking top spot with a runaway win of a staggering 30 3-star restaurants, it's the home of fine dining, the host of last year's Summer Olympics. It recently opened a famous cathedral and it's known for its snail-based dishes. Très bien! The number 1 spot goes to France. Bon appétit! So there you have it. Let us know if you've got them all, and do stay tuned for more Top 5 fun next week. Time now for an in-focus look at American pop art pioneer Andy Warhol, whose unique style and groundbreaking work reshaped the art world.
From soup cans to superstars, Andy Warhol changed the way we see art. And long before the age of social media, he understood the power of the image. This exhibition at Atatürk Cultural Center charts his journey from commercial illustrator to pop art legend, showing how he turned the ordinary into something more.
This exhibition in a way unfolds his artistic journey. Meaning, when you enter the exhibition, in the entrance you're going to see works that he did as an illustrator, and then afterwards you will see all the important phases of his work. Meaning, you see the Campbell screen prints, the Marilyn screen prints, as well as Mao, Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson and others. So therefore you will see the 50s, 60s and 70s.
The 86 works on display also reveal how Warhol's immigrant background and early struggles shaped his artistic vision.
In the 1960s, Andy Warhol focused his artistic career on the daily life objects, such as famous Campbell soup cans. This series had a background with Andy Warhol's past too, because he just told that in his early life for 20 years he had the same lunch every day. It was Campbell soup cans, of course.
Oh, I used to eat it every day. I still do, so.
The exhibition doesn't just focus on Warhol. It also brings together other pop art masters like Roy Lichtenstein, Keith Haring, and Robert Rauschenberg, providing a broader perspective on the movement.
In the future, when people will try to understand how people lived in the mid-century until maybe today, they will see that actually the media culture of the 2000s began in the 1950s and 60s. And at the forefront of this avant-gardist movement, the young artists of pop art under the leadership of Andy Warhol actually reflected it very well, aesthetically, conceptually and technically.
Warhol famously said that in the future everyone will be world famous for 15 minutes. In today's world of social media, that vision has become a reality. His exploration of fame and consumerism still resonates today, or maybe has become even more poignant.
Andy Warhol also said that everything is pop and pop is everything. And in today's world, in our medialized, social media and consumerism world, this has become true. Everything is consumed, everything is always visible, everything is shared, and nothing is original in a way. So we perceive our reality today mainly through the second reality, meaning the media reality.
One of the standout pieces here is Warhol's Marilyn Monroe series. Though often seen as a tribute, it's a critique, questioning the blurred lines between the real person and the media persona. Warhol's world still speaks to ours, proving that pop art is more than just color and commerce. For those eager to explore his world, the exhibition runs until May 4th. Hatice Meryem Gelgör, TRT World, Istanbul.
We all love a bit of Andy Warhol. Right, time now for this week's Snapshot. Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy was released this week just in time for Valentine's Day, the fourth and final instalment of the much-loved romantically challenged character's exploits, played by Renee Zellweger.
Ah, Mrs. Darcy?
Mr. Wallaker. Why is your granny wearing pyjamas?
Bridget, you're a widow with two wonderful children. My advice to you is put your own oxygen mask on first.
And the return of The Singleton to our screens has been a box office hit. And it's receiving a lot of love from critics and fans alike, with many declaring it the best of the lot. And speaking of swan song returns, well, this one's for all you rockers out there. Ozzy Osbourne has announced he's reuniting Black Sabbath one last time in his hometown of Birmingham here in the UK. The original lineup are headlining a spectacular one-day festival featuring other legends of heavy metal, including Metallica, Slayer, Pantera and Anthrax. The concert will raise money for hospitals, children's hospices and the Cure Parkinson's charity. Ozzy revealed he had the disease back in 2020 and has since largely stepped back from performing. So this really will be a very special heavy metal treat for all his fans. Head over to Esra now for more Snapshot news.
Thanks, Rhiannon. It's been a big week in arts and culture, so let's dive in. Captain America Brave New World premiered in Los Angeles with stars Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford in attendance just ahead of its release. But controversy surrounds actor Shira Haas, who plays the Israeli superhero Sabra. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators protested outside, citing concerns over Marvel's alleged ties to Israeli organizations and Sabra's origins as Mossad agent in the comics.
What do we know?
There were 5 shooters.
Back in 2022, Marvel told Variety the character had been reimagined, now working for the US government instead. Still, her inclusion has sparked debate, with critics calling it a political statement and many demanding a boycott of the movie. Meanwhile, Christie's is set to host its first ever auction dedicated to AI-generated art on February 20. The sale includes 20 lots and is expected to bring in over $600,000. But not everyone is on board. Nearly 4,000 artists have signed an open letter urging Christie's to cancel, saying that AI models used to create the works were trained on copyrighted art without permission. Christie's defends the sale, saying the featured artists use AI to enhance, not replace, creativity. Well, if you're skeptical about AI art, don't worry. Masters like Salvador Dali and Edvard Munch are still celebrated worldwide. And yes, Dali comes to Delhi. More than 200 rare etchings, watercolors and tapestries offering an intimate glimpse into his surrealist world are now on display in New Delhi.
I was so excited. I mean, to be in India and to be able to see an exhibition like this. One normally has to travel around the world and go to museums in all big places, but to have an exhibition like this in Delhi is, I felt very blessed. So I was like, I have to come and see it.
Color, emotion, and a touch of melancholy take center stage in a new Rome exhibit featuring 100 works by Edvard Munch. The exhibit includes a version of Munch's most famous work, The Scream, in the black and white form, as well as Munch's other iconic pieces, such as Young Girls on a Bridge. Well, that's all from me now, Rhiannon. Back to you.
Thank you, Esra. Well, that's it from all of us here at Showcase. A big thank you to all our guests this week, and don't forget, you can catch up on all our episodes on the Showcase YouTube channel. Coming up on next week's show, we chat to pop sensation Pixie Lott about her incredible chart-topping career and her latest single. Plus, we bring you all the biggest and best news in culture, style and entertainment. We'll see you then.